Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the complexity and get straight to the knowledge you need. Today, we're taking a deep dive into maybe the most elusive moment in golf, impacts. Every golfer, from beginner to seasoned veteran, you yearn for that consistent, powerful shot that just flies true.
Absolutely. We all do.
You might spend hours perfecting your swing, understanding the mechanics, but still feel puzzled why, some shots feel incredible and others just fall flat.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
And that's because the swing, as beautiful as it might look, it's really just the preparation. The true magic, or maybe the disaster, happens in that tiny, tiny fraction of a second when your club meets the ball.
That's it. It's the only time you actually influence the ball.
It's the critical juncture, and honestly, it speaks a language few truly understand.
And that's really where the deep dive begins today. Most golfers might think about maybe a handful of things that go wrong at impact.
Yeah, maybe 5 or 6 things.
Yeah. Or perhaps 8 or 9 factors if they're really, really tuned in. But what our analysis built on the insights from golf science pioneers like Henrik Jentsch, he's the director of Golf Academy 360 Degrees, and the AI golf chatbot, what it reveals is there are actually 10 distinct variables at play in that crucial moment.
10. Wow, okay. That's more than I thought.
10. And understanding this complete language of impact, it isn't just theory. It's really the pathway to, unparalleled control, consistency, and just a profound clarity in your game that can transform that frustration into mastery.
That's a huge revelation for anyone who's ever felt stuck, isn't it?
Yeah.
So our mission today, then, is to decode this secret language of impact. We're going to unpack each of these 10 crucial factors one by one and give you, our listener, a shortcut to understanding your golf game with, the precision of a professional coach. Forget those vague swing thoughts.
Yeah, move beyond just keep your head down.
Exactly. Get ready for some serious aha moments that will fundamentally change how you view your golf swing, your practice, and, ultimately your scores.
Let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack this. When we talk about impact, the very first conversation between your club and the ball is about where. Where on the club face that little white sphere actually makes contact. It's way more precise than just hitting it somewhere on the club.
Precisely. Yeah, the first 2 factors really define this exact interaction. So first up, let's talk about horizontal contact location.
Okay.
This just means where the ball strikes the face laterally, from the heel to the center to the toe.
Heel, center, toe. Got it.
And this is absolutely critical because of something called the gear effect. Think of it like, gears meshing. If you hit the ball off the toe, the club face twists open slightly as it hits, which actually imparts a draw or hook spin on the ball, even if your swing path was perfectly straight.
Right, so the face twists, causing the spin.
Exactly. And conversely, shots off the heel cause the face to twist closed, often leading to a fade or, a slice.
Yeah.
So even if your path is good, off-center contact fundamentally changes the ball flight. That's why consistently finding the center, that sweet spot, is just paramount for maximum energy transfer and, predictable results.
That's fascinating because I bet a lot of golfers blame their swing path for a hook when it might actually be that toe contact creating the gear effect.
Very often the case.
So for you, the listener, a simple yet really powerful diagnostic is just to use face tape or even impact spray.
Yep, great tools.
It gives you an instant visual cue, shows you your consistent strike point.
Yeah.
Now, closely related to this lateral contact, we have vertical contact location.
Right. This describes where on the club face you strike the ball vertically. So a thin shot hits high on the club face.
Okay, like catching it clean but high up.
Exactly. It often feels like a stinger shot, launches low with reduced spin. Then a fat shot, that means you've contacted the club face too low, usually after hitting the ground first.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Oh, yes. It robs you of power, sends the ball a much shorter distance. And what's particularly important here is that your high-lofted clubs, like your wedges, they really exaggerate these vertical mishit effects. So getting clean ground contact, and therefore central vertical contact, is absolutely essential for consistent distances and spin control with those scoring clubs.
So it sounds like even before we really think about the swing itself, these first 2 contact factors are the absolute starting point for diagnosing ball flight.
Totally.
They give you immediate, tangible clues about the quality of your strike. If these aren't reasonably good, everything else kind of becomes a battle, doesn't it?
It really does. You're fighting inconsistency right from the start.
Right. Okay, so now that we understand where on the face we want to hit it, ideally the center, let's talk about the direction the club is actually moving at that fleeting moment of impact.
Yeah.
This is where things get really interesting, I think, for understanding why your ball starts left or right and how it finally, curves or slices or hooks.
Indeed. So our third factor is horizontal swing path.
Hmm.
This is simply the direction the club head is moving relative to your target line at impact.
Out to in and to out, that
Right.
kind of thing.
Exactly. Most golfers know an out-to-in path, where the club sweeps across the ball from outside the line to inside it, is a classic slice producer,
The
right?
dreaded slice, yeah.
Conversely, an in-to-out path, where the club comes from inside the line and moves out towards the target, that can cause hooks. But here's the nuance.
Okay.
The key to consistent shot shaping isn't always having a perfectly zero or straight path.
Right.
For a predictable draw or fade, you actually want to match your swing path appropriately to your club face angle.
Ah, okay, so they work together.
Precisely. Pros often use, say, a slight into-out path combined with a face that's slightly open to the path but maybe square or slightly closed to the target to hit a powerful controlled draw, or vice versa for a fade. It's about intentionality, not just zeroing everything out.
That's a great point. And it's interesting, our sources mention that neutral doesn't necessarily mean zero path for everyone. Some players actually thrive with a small built-in draw or fade bias.
Yeah, it becomes their stock shot.
Makes it their consistent, repeatable shot. So it's not always about perfection, but more about predictable control. Okay, moving on to the vertical direction then, we have vertical attack angle.
Right. This refers to whether the club is descending, level, or ascending at the point of impact.
Okay.
Now, with your irons, a slightly descending angle is generally preferred. That helps you compress the ball against the turf and take a shallow divot after impact.
A nice, crisp strike.
Exactly. A too steep angle, though, can cause those chunky fat shots and inconsistency. But then, with the driver, the game changes completely.
Oh, so?
Well, let the driver, because the ball's on a tee, a shallow or even slightly ascending angle is actually ideal.
Hitting up on it.
Yeah, hitting slightly up on it. It increases your carry distance, reduces that unwanted backspin, and helps optimize your launch for maximum total distance off the tee.
That makes sense. And for those of you listening who are really serious about precise measurement, advanced analysis tools, things like launch monitors, or personalized feedback systems like the AI golf chatbot,
Very useful.
they can measure this angle precisely for you. Gives you immediate objective data. So if we connect this to the bigger picture then, these two directional factors, path and attack angle, they're like the engine behind the ball's initial flight path and how much it wants to curve.
Absolutely. Before air resistance and spin really take over, these dictate the raw direction of the energy you impart.
They dictate the raw direction of power. Okay, so we've talked about where you hit the ball in the face and the club's direction of travel. But what about the club face itself? I mean, where it's pointing at impact. That's arguably the single most dominant factor for your ball's initial flight direction, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You're spot on. Our fifth factor, face angle, meaning is it open, square, or closed relative to the target line at the moment of impact,
Yeah.
is confirmed by experts like Henrik Jentsch as the most important factor for the ball's starting direction. It's that critical.
More important than path for where the ball starts.
For where it starts, yes. Overwhelmingly so. If your face is open at impact, the ball will start to the right for a right-handed golfer. If it's closed, it starts left. It's pretty much that simple.
Wow.
And then it's the combination of this face angle with your swing path that ultimately dictates the curvature, the slice, or hook. You can think of the path as setting the potential curve, but the face angle is like aiming the start of that curve.
Okay, wow. So even if my swing path feels perfectly on target, if my face angle is off by just, say, a couple of degrees, I'm still going to miss my target initially.
You're starting it offline, yes, which is why controlling the face is paramount.
That's a huge aha for
Yeah.
many of us, I think. So for anyone struggling with that slice, the sort of quick diagnostic check is understanding if your path and your face angle are actually working against each other.
Exactly. Are they fighting each other?
Right.
Now, related to the face, let's talk about dynamic loft.
Dynamic loft. Okay, what's that exactly?
Dynamic loft is the actual loft presented on the club face at the moment of impact, not just the number stamped on the sole of your club.
Ah, so it can be different from the club's static loft.
Oh, definitely. And it's crucial for trajectory and spin control. If you add loft, often by sort of scooping or releasing the club too early through impact,
Yeah, flipping the wrists.
that kind of move, it increases the ball's height and spin, sure, but you lose precious power and distance because you're not compressing the ball efficiently. Conversely, delocking the club, which usually means keeping the hands slightly ahead of the club head at impact.
I'm pressing it.
Yes, that can help you compress the ball better, especially with short irons. It gives you a more penetrating flight and often greater control, especially in windy conditions.
And it's a fun fact, isn't it, shared by many top instructors, that professionals often deliver less dynamic loft than the club's stated loft, particularly with their irons.
That's right. They manage it actively.
It really highlights the incredible control they have over their impact conditions, managing trajectory, and maximizing that compression. Okay, and finally, in this phase, let's revisit gear effect face twist, but maybe with a bit more detail. Because you mentioned it earlier, but it sounds like it's a kind of silent killer of consistency.
It really can be. We touched on it with horizontal contact, but let's expand. So, gear effect happens whenever contact is off-center on the club face.
Right.
Even if your face angle and your swing path are otherwise perfect, shots struck off the toe typically cause the club face to momentarily twist open,
Mm-hmm.
which, due to the gearing action, imparts that leftward curve, a draw, or hook spin. Conversely, heel hits cause the face to twist closed, making the ball curve right, a fade or slice. This isn't necessarily a swing fault, it's a physical law of how golf clubs work due to their center of gravity.
So it's just physics acting on the club.
It's physics. And what's really interesting here is that the more locked your club has, the more pronounced this gear effect becomes.
Ah, so wedges are more sensitive?
Much more sensitive to this twisting on off-center hits, which is actually a key insight for understanding wedge play. Sometimes a slight toe strike with a wedge might actually help you impart a little extra draw spin or curve it precisely around a bunker if you know how to use it.
Interesting.
But it really raises an important question for every golfer. Are you controlling the club face and your contact point well enough to even get the benefit of what might otherwise be a perfectly good swing path? If contact is poor, the path might not matter as much as you think.
That's a really good point. Lots to think about there. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground contact, path, face, but there are still crucial pieces of this impact puzzle, left, right.
We're getting there. Still a few more key elements.
Next up, let's talk about something often overlooked, I think, but absolutely fundamental to consistent ball striking and how you interact with the turf, the low point of your swing.
Yes, the low point. This is truly critical for consistent striking, especially with irons hitting off the ground. Our eighth factor is low point location.
Location, meaning where it happens.
Exactly. It determines whether the lowest point of your swing arc occurs before the ball, right at the ball, or ideally just slightly after the ball.
So you want it after the ball.
For irons, yes, definitely. If your low point is too far behind the ball, well, that's the classic fat shot, isn't it? Where you dig into the ground before the ball.
Yeah, it takes a huge divot, ball goes nowhere.
Right. And if it's too far ahead of the ball, you might be topping it or catching it thin. That's often indicative of an issue with your weight shift or maybe how your body is rotating through the shot. The ideal is for the club to bottom out just after the ball, making that crisp descending contact.
Ball then turf.
Ball then turf, that's the mantra.
And for those of you with access to some of these advanced analysis tools we mentioned, they can actually show you like precisely how many centimeters your low point is before or after the ball.
Incredible feedback.
Talk about objective feedback. Then, closely related, there's low point height.
Right. If location is where it happens along the ground, height is about how deep the club goes into the ground at that lowest point.
Okay, the depth of the divot, essential.
Essentially, yes. With irons, a proper shallow divot taken after impact is the goal. Think of it as a thin, crisp, bacon strip divot that just brushes the grass. However, if the club goes too deep, taking these huge, deep pelts, that usually indicates an overly steep swing or maybe even early extension where you lose your posture. Not only does this cause inconsistency and often a loss of speed, but over time, constantly digging deep can also lead to injuries, particularly to the wrists and elbows due to that excessive force.
Ouch. And our sources even offer a fascinating biomechanics tip here. Apparently, your shoulder tilt and your spine angle it's set up actually affect this low point depth quite significantly.
It's absolutely do.
So the foundation for a good low point, it starts before you even begin your swing.
It's all connected. And what's fascinating here is how these two low point factors, location and height, they truly define the quality of your interaction with the turf, which is just critical for that consistent, pure strike we all chase. It's about more than just hitting the ball. It's about how you move the club through the ground around the ball.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
Almost there. Finally, we come to the factor that everyone seems to chase, everyone talks about. Club head speed.
Ah, yes, speed. The glamorous one.
It's exhilarating to watch those high-speed swings, isn't it? But as our sources reveal, and as we've kind of hinted at, it's really a product of everything that came before. It's not just an isolated variable you can crank up.
Exactly right. Clubhead speed is our 10th and final factor. And while, yes, more speed generally means more potential distance, that's only true if the other 9 factors, especially center contact and face angle, are optimized.
Conditional speed, then.
Very conditional. You can swing as fast as you want, but if you're consistently hitting it off the heel or the toe or with a wildly open face, much of that raw speed is just, oh, it's wasted energy going in the wrong direction or being lost to poor transfer.
Makes sense.
It's also worth noting a nuance here. With wedges, for example, less speed and more control is often preferred over just raw power, right?
Yeah, precision over power for scoring clubs.
Exactly, because precision and feel matter much more than absolute distance when you're close to the green.
Absolutely. And here's a really actionable training idea that came from the experts we looked at.
Ah,
Once your technique is relatively clean,
Alright.
you're consistently making decent contact, you're controlling your club face reasonably well, then you can work on increasing what's called parametric acceleration.
parametric acceleration.
Yeah.
Sounds complex.
It does, but think of it like cracking a whip or skipping a stone across water. It's not about brute force or just swinging harder with your arms. It's about the precise sequence and timing of your body's movement, using the ground, rotating your core, letting the arms and hands release powerfully through impact, creating speed efficiently.
Ah, so it's about efficient sequencing, not just muscling it.
Exactly. It's about efficiency, generating speed from coordinated body movement, not just sheer effort.
So what does this all mean in the end? Speed is really the cherry on top. It's the final amplifier. But the real power, and maybe more importantly, the consistency in your game, it comes from the solid foundation built by the previous 9 factors working together in harmony.
Without them, speed is just.
It's just uncontrolled chaos, most of the time. It won't reliably translate to better shots on the course.
That's such a crucial takeaway, I think. Speed follows technique, not the other way around.
Okay.
Okay, before we wrap up, our sources provided a really useful sort of practical coaching order for putting all this knowledge to use.
Yeah, this is helpful.
Whether you're analyzing your own game or maybe helping someone else out on the range, it's like a logical progression, a roadmap to actual improvement based on these 10 factors.
Absolutely. So when you're analyzing ball flight or working on your game, the recommendation is generally to start with contact quality.
Factors 1 and 2, horizontal and vertical contact.
Precisely. Why? Because if you're not consistently hitting the sweet spot, trying to perfect your path or your face angle becomes almost guesswork. You don't have a stable baseline.
Right, it's like trying to paint a masterpiece on a canvas that keeps moving.
Exactly. So nail down contact first. Once contact is reasonably consistent, then you move on to checking and adjusting your swing path and face angle.
Factors 3 and 5.
Yep, because those really define your initial direction and the basic curvature of the shot. After that's looking better, you can refine things further by adjusting your low point and angle of attack.
Factors 4, 8, and 9. Getting that turf interaction right.
Getting that crisp strike, controlling trajectory. And then, only after those foundational elements are dialed in and becoming repeatable, then it makes sense to work on increasing club head speed.
Factor 10. The final piece.
Right. It's really about building a house from the foundation up, isn't it? You wouldn't start with the roof. You build a solid base first.
That makes so much sense. And it really reaffirms that control starts at impact, not just with how pretty your swing looks on video.
Mm-hmm.
Our deep dive today, really informed by those insights from people like Henrik Jentsch, it just reminds us that tools like those advanced feedback systems can really help track your improvement in 3D step by step. That objective feedback is just incredible for staying on track, I think.
It takes the guesswork out.
Totally. Well, we've truly peeled back the layers today, haven't we?
We've covered a lot, yeah.
From the precise point your club strikes the ball, to its direction of travel, the exact angle of the club face, the low point of your swing, and finally, the speed you generate, you, listening right now, hopefully understand the secret language of impact with the clarity of a professional coach.
That was the goal.
This deep dive was designed to be your shortcut, taking these complex, interconnected factors and, distilling them so you can become truly well-informed about a topic that, let's face it, for many golfers, remains a frustrating mystery.
It can feel like alchemy sometimes, can't it?
It really can. So as you reflect on all 10 of these factors, I'd like to leave you with maybe a provocative thought to mull over for your next round or your next practice session. Okay, let's hear it.
Considering all 10 factors we discussed, which one do you think is the single most underrated factor for the average amateur golfer, and why? What's the hidden key that's maybe holding most players back from reaching their potential?
Ooh, that's a fantastic question. Which one is most overlooked, but maybe has the biggest impact? Something for you all to think about. And we really encourage you to take this newfound understanding out to the course or the range.
Apply it. See what you notice.
Yeah, apply it. We promise it'll give you a deeper appreciation for the complexity, but also the beauty of the golf swing, and hopefully lead to a lot more consistent, powerful, and predictable shots for you. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.